During the paradoxical era, roughly between 1968 and 1980, there were three different presidents of the United States, and they each had different effects on the country in terms of reform. President Richard Nixon, 1969 to 1974. In terms of reform, Nixon sought to provide the people of the United States with better jobs, incomes, and overall better qualities of life, and he included women and people of color in these policy changes. He went about this by giving more power to local governments and enacting the Comprehensive Employment and Training Act, Community Development Block Grant Program, the Rehabilitation Act, and the Child Abuse Prevention Act. As a conservative, he mainly went through private markets rather than a direct use of government when attempting to make the changes that he wanted to see. He also focused on healthcare reforms with the development of affirmative action policies, the family planning program, the establishment of the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and his proposal for national health insurance. Nixon also developed social policies which led to the desegregation of all schools in the southern United States. President Gerald Ford, 1974 to 1977. In his relatively short time as President of the United States, Ford didn't get a lot done in terms of social and welfare reform. One piece of social reform that was enacted during his presidency was the Education for All Handicapped Children Act of 1975, which granted federal money for schools so children with mental and physical disabilities could merge into regular classrooms. Sadly, not enough funding was allocated to effort in the years following its enactment, and so it was not as effective as it was originally intended to be. President Jimmy Carter, 1977 to 1981. With rising inflation, gas prices, and social spending, the country's economy was in a poor state when Jimmy Carter entered his term as the 39th President of the United States. In an attempt to battle this inflation, he massively cut funding to social programs. Carter believed that alcoholics, drug addicts, and welfare recipients were draining the welfare system by abusing government welfare programs. He expanded Medicaid programs to help low-income children and pregnant women. He was heavily against abortion and had avidly supported the Supreme Court's overruling of Roe v. Wade. During Carter's term as president, government-financed abortions dropped significantly between 1976 and 1978. Clearly a direct result of both Jimmy Carter's presidency and the overruling of Roe v. Wade.